Welcome back to What If Deku Fell in Love with Fem Aizawa, Part 2. Let's continue our intriguing journey in this unique My Hero Academia alternate universe. Stay tuned for more twists and turns. I did it. I passed the admission exam. Yes, ha ha ha. Did you see that, Kachan? Ha 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 ha. Oh, I dropped my chips. Today is my first day of classes. I have my uniform on, my backpack, my hero notes. I'm all set. I'm standing in front of the majestic UA. It looks impressive, glorious, the most important hero academy in Japan and probably the world. Here we go, I whispered to myself as I entered the school gate. I'm amazed at how well UA is designed. It has incredible security, or at least I think so. In reality, there's just a camera and a guard dog at the entrance. They also have a big budget to cover the walls, well, if by budget you mean some black tape and lockers covering holes in the walls. It's wonderful, I exclaimed in amazement. Maybe all of this is a method to confuse people's minds. It must be. Here I am. You just open the door and say good morning to the person in front, I muttered to myself, feeling nervous. I hope I don't end up with Kachan or that blue-haired guy, I whispered as I opened the door, and there they were, both Kachan and the blue-haired guy. It seems like they're arguing, they take being at UA very seriously. I'm Tenya Ida from the... I interrupted. I already heard that. I'm Izuku Midoriya, I introduced myself. Nice to meet you, Midoriya-kun. I want to apologize for misjudging you in the exam. You figured out the test's meaning. You're amazing, he said, moving his hands rapidly. Actually, I just acted on instinct. That's what a hero does, right? I said with a nervous smile. How admirable, Midoriya-kun, he complimented me, continuing his unusual movements. Huh? What are you doing here, Deku? No need to say who that was. Wait, Kachan, I tried to calm him down until a female voice called me. Hey, you're the guy who destroyed the robot, she said cheerfully. Hi, I was very close, too close. You were great, you took it out with one hit, she said joyfully, mimicking fighting movements. If you came to make friends, go somewhere else, a female voice called us, sounding tired. We turned around, and I realized. There was a giant talking yellow caterpillar? No, it was more like a sleeping bag. We quickly sat down. You're a few seconds faster than I expected, the caterpillar said as it stood up. I know it's sudden, but put this on and go to the field below, the caterpillar said. Suddenly, it turned around, and a beautiful woman emerged from the bag. She looked familiar, but I didn't have time to think about it because she threw us some kind of training uniform. 5 minutes later. Normal narration to say that Shota Aizawa was annoyed would be an understatement, even though nothing bad has happened to him lately. But he still had to deal with the freckled troublemaker. I hope nothing bad happens, the girl with black hair whispered. It didn't take long for the students to arrive at the location indicated by the hero Eraserhead. The aspiring heroes had faces of excitement, but there were also a few who seemed serious or bored. This will be quick and easy so I can get more sleep, the hero said, making class 1A sweat. Bakugo Katsuki, step forward, she said seriously, and Katsuki took a step forward. You were the top scorer in the entrance exam, Aizawa mentioned. You did a ball throw in preschool, right? She asked bored. TSK, yeah, Bakugo replied irritably. Then do the same thing, but with your quirk, she said, pointing to a red circle on the ground. Bakugo followed Aizawa's orders and launched the ball into the air. Explosion, he yelled angrily. Is he going to blow up? Was the collective thought of the entire class. Whoa! Some of the students exclaimed excitedly. This is going to be fun. An excited girl with pink hair said. It doesn't matter, what's important is Eraserhead's reaction. So, you think it's fun? Well, you have 3 years to become heroes. If you're going to keep that attitude, then you have to make the most of it, she said, raising her head to show her red eyes as she activated her quirk. The last place student will be expelled, she said with a sinister smile, making everyone tremble. The phrase "if we finish last, will be expelled" echoed throughout the area. 45 minutes later. Narrated by Aizawa. They're nothing special. Normal scores, nothing outstanding, acceptable speeds, regular strength, nothing to be surprised about. Well, there is one thing that surprises me, Izuku Midoriya's stupidity. He's dead last, and I've been erasing his quirk. He doesn't know how to control his own power. If I had allowed it, he'd probably be in the recovery room right now. Izuku Midoriya, it's your turn, I said his name, and he walked to the throwing test. I'm coming, he said nervously. He took the ball, thought for a few minutes, and his legs were shaking. He knew he was going to finish last. Wait, it looks like he's going to throw it, but what the heck is he doing? Ah, he yelled as he tried to throw the ball, but it didn't go far. In fact, it only went a few meters. Huh? He asked. He was about to break his arm. Good thing I predicted that. Narrated by Izuku. Why couldn't I activate it? I looked at my hand for a clue, but there was nothing. Then I decided to look at where the sensei was, and her bandages were floating, with a red glint in her eyes. Am I in trouble, right? Ah. I complained as her bandages pulled me toward her. Did you ever think about the consequences for a moment? She asked, very upset. You were going to break your arm, you idiot, she scolded. I was waiting for my quirk. I was interrupted by her. I've been erasing your quirk throughout the test. You don't know how to control your own power. You have no value here. You'll just be a burden to the others. That hurt. She let go of her bandages and moved away a bit, and everyone was staring at me. Pathetic. But I won't give up so easily. I walked a few meters toward the ball, under everyone's gaze. I slowly picked it up and held it tightly. No, I won't give up here, I thought as I got into position. I can't use it on my arm, but I prepared to throw it. She never said I couldn't use it on my finger, I thought as I stretched my hand to throw the ball while activating one for all on my finger. Ah! I screamed as I threw the ball. Narrated by Aizawa. A powerful gust of wind filled the field. I looked at the counter, 709.6 meters. I looked at the boy, it seemed like he broke his finger, but he still managed to reduce the recoil damage by using his quirk. You did it, he said while holding his finger. This kid. I couldn't help but smile, surprised this time. That's the way to go, kid, I whispered. Deku, you jerk. A voice alerted me. How the hell did you get so strong? He lunged at Midoriya, but I quickly caught him with my bandages. Fighting with your classmates is prohibited, I said, annoyed. The day went by normally. In the end, I told them that the expulsion threat was a lie. I like to see them get scared when I tell them half-truths. Midoriya had to go to the infirmary because of his broken finger. Nothing to worry about. Narrated by Izuku. It didn't go too badly for me. Well, it went really badly, but hey, there were some laughs. My father is coming tonight. It's been a while since I saw him. I can only imagine how he'll react when he finds out I got into UA. Well, today was a fun day? No, it was a curious day, I said as I walked. Wait a minute. A strong blush suddenly took over me. It was only now that I realized something. I was really close to Aizawa-sensei. Very close to a woman. Now that I think about it. She reminds me of someone. I know she's the hero Eraserhead, but she reminds me of the woman I bumped into that time. The scene of that collision came back to me. That means Aizawa-sensei and the woman from that time. They're twin sisters. Great job, Izuku, you've outdone yourself. Narrator Deku. This is supposedly my new home, I said while looking at a map. It's only been an hour since I left UA. I'm so excited. I'll finally get to see my dad again after such a long time. Life is getting better for me. I hope my things are okay, I whispered nervously because my All Might collection is very, very complete and prestigious. It took me a long time to collect everything. I touched the door, and it slowly began to open. I was so excited at this point that I didn't even wait for the door to fully open before I threw myself to hug the person in front of me. Ara, what do we have here? Wait, I don't know that voice. I never imagined someone would just knock on my door to hug me. I looked up. It was a woman. A very beautiful woman, and my face was in her chest. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I pleaded, desperately seeking forgiveness. Ha ha, don't worry, little one, I heard her laugh, but I also heard another laugh. Ha ha ha, my little Izuku. As clueless as ever. That voice. Dad, I shouted with excitement, still standing in front of that woman. Ha ha, did you perhaps come to the wrong house? Ha ha, you never change, do you, son? Both he and the woman were laughing at my mistake. Sorry for the inconvenience, I bowed in front of that woman. No worries, little one, she warmly spoke. I quickly left and went to my new house this time. It was right next to that house. How did I manage to make such a mistake? Dad. I finally reunited with my father. Izuku. My father yelled as he ran towards me, and finally, after so long, I was able to hug him. You've grown. Well, I think you're still a bit small, he said as he ruffled my hair. Hey. I am indeed a bit small. Maybe a little. But nah, that's how you were at your age, but it doesn't matter anymore. Let's go inside before your mom starts worrying, he said as we walked into our new home. Narrated by Hisashi. After a long time, I can feel the smell, the warmth of a united family. Traveling to the United States was fun, but it will never compare to being with your family. But first, I need to know what has happened. Hey Izuku, how did you awaken your quirk? I asked while we were eating at the table. I remember you told me that it awakened just now, Inko replied, looking at Izuku for a more concrete answer. Well, yeah, that's right, Izuku replied. Something is wrong, I can tell he's nervous. Okay. And how was your first day? Oh God, the pasta is delicious, my love, I said while eating the pasta with ground meat and tomato sauce that my beloved wife prepared. Thank you, dear, her warm voice captivated my heart, a sweet scene of a married couple. Ahem, well, I had a good day, haha, Izuku interrupted the scene. I knew you'd become a hero, I shouted in support of my son. Thanks, Dad, Izuku replied, raising his fist. I will become the symbol of peace. He stood up from his chair and put his fist to his chest. He's still a kid, and he makes me very proud. That's right. I increased the excitement as I stood up from my chair too, both of us were ready to shout with pride. For justice. We would have finished it, but a roll hit our heads. We don't shout at the table, Inko's warm and terrifying voice made our bodies tremble. Why yes, dear/mom. We quickly apologized. Dinner went smoothly, there were only laughs and joy, a feeling I had missed for a long time. But now it's time to talk about a specific issue with my son. 9:50 p.m. What's wrong, Dad? Izuku asked me. We were on the rooftop, and the night had taken over Japan, and the night's light illuminated the place. I just wanted to talk to you, I said as I sat down with him. And? What did you want to talk about? Izuku asked as we looked at the moon. Well. Are you gay? I asked as I gazed at the moon. Eh? I enjoyed putting him on the spot. Ha, just kidding, ha, I laughed as I laid down. What I really want to ask. Who gave you the quirk? I asked calmly as I looked at Izuku. What do you mean? He nervously replied. I'm not just a simple office worker. I'm Detective Hisashi Midoriya. Although they don't know it. At night, I offer private detective services, and fooling me is very difficult. Don't try to fool me, Izuku. Quirk awakening? Super strength? When your parents and our family branch have never had quirks related to physical enhancements, I calmly questioned his attempt at an explanation. He didn't say anything. I turned to look at him and saw that he had his mouth wide open, leaving him surprised. Don't worry, this will be our secret, I reassured him as I sat back down. Well, I met All Might, he replied. I interrupted him. All Might, right? I saw how he became even more surprised and nervous. How? He asked. Well, son, Dad has contacts, and through them, I was able to watch the video of the entrance exam, I said as I looked at him. And they said making friends with Vlad was a bad idea. Yeah, he gave it to me on that day when I took the exam. I trained with it for 10 months, he replied. All Might is an idiot, and it seems he hasn't changed. In truth, I didn't know that All Might's quirk could be inherited until I started to doubt some things. Hey! It doesn't matter. You've earned it, and I don't need to investigate further to see that you've worked hard to have it. You've always wanted to be a hero, and now you have the opportunity, I said as I looked at him while I extended my fist to him. Izuku. Promise me that you will become the greatest hero, I said as I put my fist to my chest. I will, he said as tears welled up in his eyes. I'm sure you will. I'm very proud of you, son. My little hero. The warm words from my mouth touched his heart. How do I know? It's simple. He was crying. Thank you, Dad, we hugged tightly. Musafatchu. 10 p.m. Once again, darkness fills the streets of Musafatchu, a beautiful sight for the right eye. Setting aside the nighttime beauty of this city, we must focus on someone because, after all, we are in a love story, and we need to center on someone. Izuku walked peacefully through the dark streets of the city, old memories flooding his mind. How many things have happened to him this week? It's only been 4 days since he joined the impressive UA, and certain events have already taken place, like a fight with his childhood friend. I still can't believe I hit Kachan, muttered the young green-haired boy, still reminiscing about that day. I'm no longer the kid who dreamed of becoming a hero. I'm the one who will become one. A motivating thought crossed his mind. A smile lit up the streets, brightening the dark alleys for a short while. Dad gave me permission until 11, so I have time to relax in the park, said the green-haired boy. Ever since his father came back into his life, Things have improved. His father advises him a lot, but not all his advice is good. Flashback. Tuesday afternoon. Are you sure about this, Dad? Izuku asked nervously. But why was he nervous? Don't you trust me? The adult asked, looking downcast. Of course, but I don't think riding a bike you bought from a homeless guy off a mountain is a good idea, Izuku stammered, barely able to speak due to fear. Come on. What could go wrong? Encouraged his father as he got behind him. I think I'd better GEE. The boy screamed as his father pushed him off. I'll wait for you down there. His excited father shouted as he also jumped off with his bike. Who would have thought that a bike bought from a homeless man would break in two as soon as it touched the ground? End of flashback. That day, Mom almost killed us, nervously laughed the young green-haired boy. He then went to a park bench. Curiously, the bench was still warm, indicating that someone had been there recently. Tomorrow, after school, Dad will teach me how to use my quirk, he whispered quietly, even though no one seemed to be around, or so he thought. 30 meters away from there. Era-chan, I think you should rest for a while, a charming woman with green hair, dressed in a suit decorated with smiling faces, said. This woman goes by the name Emmy. Heroes never rest, replied our protagonist Shota, known as Eraserhead to the others, with an air of wisdom. But remember the time you fell asleep during your shift, Emmy said, a bead of sweat forming on her forehead. That was a tactical rest, she said, a bit annoyed and embarrassed. All right, Emmy responded with a mocking smile. Back to Izuku. Calm, how I needed my cherished calm, Izuku said as he sighed. Clunk. Something fell in the distance, alerting Izuku. It seemed like a heavy fall since it made a loud noise. What was that? He wondered, filled with fear at the sudden startle. He decided to investigate, unsure if it was a good idea. It didn't take long to find the scene. It was an alley, and as he looked at it, memories of that day flooded his mind. He didn't say anything but felt a shiver run down his spine. Gathering his courage, he turned on his phone's flashlight to see through the dense darkness and embarked on his journey into the alley. This is a bad idea, he muttered to himself. The cold of the place chilled his bones, and the dimly lit darkness created a depressing atmosphere. There's nothing here, he whispered, somewhat disappointed by the lack of anything interesting. Then, there was a loud thud. Izuku fell backward in shock. What was that? He asked, scared by the sudden fright. He turned to look, and it turned out to be some boxes that had fallen, which relieved him a bit. I thought it was something else, he said, feeling relieved. Turning around, he began to walk towards the alley's exit, when a faint sound reached his ears. Meow. A cat? Izuku turned around, and there it was, a cute black cat with white markings on its face in a somewhat unusual pattern. The cat was adorable but in pain, with a wounded paw, dirty and wet. Poor thing, the young green-haired boy's heart went out to it. Slowly, he approached the cat, but it kept moving away. Don't worry, friend. I'm here now, he reassured it with simple words that, at that moment, held strong emotions. Izuku? Are you crying? What, Pa? He fainted for no apparent reason. Rain started to fall, and Izuku's body got wet while raindrops covered his face. Finally, I found you, a calm and serious voice said, and small steps echoed through the area. It wasn't too hard to find you, the voice continued. Izuku Midoriya. The moonlight illuminated him. It was the same cat, sitting on a cardboard box. I will help you. And myself. Musafatsu City, Japan. Thursday, 10 p.m. The night, a beautiful gift of life. Many things happen at this hour, but undoubtedly, there are also unfortunate events. For such occasions, we have heroes, individuals dedicated to serving and protecting the community and society as a whole. They are essential pillars in the world they inhabit, people with years of training, seriousness, expertise, intelligence, and above all, maturity. Release my gummies, heroine Eraserhead furiously chased Ms. Joke. No. Ha ha ha. Well, they are still heroes after all. Told by Emmy, Ms. Joke. No. My gummies, Era-chan was to blame. She tackled me, and the gummies fell off the building. Well. Who's hungry? I asked as I got up. Just because I'm on duty doesn't mean I haven't thought about tossing you off a building. Era-chan's voice was terrifying, sending shivers down my spine. 2. She has a very special punishment, which involves hanging people from a height determined by the moment. She usually suspends them with her bandages, and I know I'm special to her because she always hangs me with her bandage less than 3. Flashback. It was fun, I shouted while hanging upside down on top of a building. Telling a kid you want to go on a date with him and get married after the date while offering sweets isn't fun, she told me as she threw stones at me with a slingshot. Without a doubt, I'm special to her. Besides, that kid was at fault. If he hadn't cried, everything would have gone well. End of flashback. Although now that I think about it, I never asked how your week went, I said as I jumped and playfully hit the air. No, Era, note, Era comes from Eraserhead, if it's too obvious, but there's always someone asking, and here, we care about our readers' questions, replied dryly. She's a bit lacking in the comedy department in her life. So, how was your week? I asked affectionately to cheer up Sho-chan. Oh, well, nothing bad happened to me, just some issues caused by my students, she said tiredly as she lay down for a while. What are your students like? I asked curiously. You're quite inquisitive today, aren't you? She said, annoyed. This is one of the reasons she doesn't have many friends besides me. Yes, I shouted as I pounced on her, squishing her a bit. Ugh, she groaned as I fell on her. All right. Most of them are just inexperienced brats, she said as she took a chocolate bar out of her pocket. Some are brats with experience but without social skills, she chuckled to herself. She's unintentionally funny even if she doesn't realize it. And then, I have a bunch who are just a nuisance, she said as she ate her chocolate. Like who, Era-chan? I asked, resting my head on her chest. Who? Well, there's a useless pervert, a plug-and-go friend of the pervert, a walking firecracker, she told me, and I laughed at the names she gave them. And I also have him. This caught my attention. 1. Who is him? Who is he? I asked curiously when I noticed her displeased and annoyed expression when she mentioned him. He is the bad luck guy, she said as she finished her chocolate. 5. Ha 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 ha. It's not funny, she said, complaining. What a misfortune. You just happened to get stuck with the one you swore never to meet again. Ha 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 ha. Puff ha 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 ha. I couldn't stop laughing at Sho-chan's bad luck. I'm going to slap you to make you stop laughing, she threatened, and I paused when her voice became eerie. It's just that ha ha ha, it's just that ha 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 ha. I laughed again but stopped once more. He's the one who gives me the most trouble. On the first day, he almost broke an arm, and on the second day, he did break one. Wait. How? Wait, how did he break his arm, or why does he break his arm? Is he a masochist? I asked with humor. I think it's because of his quirk, he doesn't know how to use it, and his body seems to barely tolerate it, she said tiredly, but I sensed some concern. It's normal, after all, we're heroes and teachers, and our duty is to take care of them. What an interesting case, I said as I got up and helped her to her feet. His quirk reminds me of All Might's, she said. This problem child is turning out to be quite fascinating. Wait. You know what? Let's call him Trouble Boy, I suggested humorously. Not a bad idea, I heard her chuckle softly. She's not mean or cold, she's just a bit challenging to deal with. The bad part is that our shift is over, and the sky is showing signs of impending rain. Well, it's time for me to go back to the agency, Sho-chan said as she looked at the sky and the lightning. Yes. I hope you haven't forgotten about your debt, or should I say? Promise? I asked, trying to remind her that she owes me something. What? I've never owed you anything or promised you anything, she replied irritably. Do you remember that day on the rooftop? I asked as I danced from side to side. Damn. Ha 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 ha. I loved teasing her. Our dinner will be in March, I said as I put on a pair of smart-looking glasses. Where did you get those glasses? She asked, but I just shrugged. It will be a dinner for. I left it hanging, looked at her face, and saw her raise an eyebrow. For what? A 4-person dinner. You, my new pretender. I couldn't finish because she interrupted me. A new boyfriend? Then with you two, we're only 3, we'd need one more person to make it 4. Whom else do you plan to invite? She asked. He, ha hey hey, I laughed uproariously, which startled her a bit. That last person. You have to invite him. I revealed as I pointed at her. What? She asked irritably. That's right, so I'll give you some time to find your date, I said as I started running. Wait. The rain silenced her. I turned around just to see her give in and start running back to her agency. This is going to be interesting. Very interesting. Teacher's Lounge, UA, Japan. Time, 8:34 a.m. narrated by Shota. So, that's our plan for the day, I explained our schedule. In a room, most of the teachers at UA were present, except for 13 and the irresponsible All Might. It's the same as every year, Mike commented, picking his nose, which can be quite repulsive, but at least he's not yelling like before. Well, the young ones of this generation have that fire inside them that keeps me going, Nemuri said while running her hands over her body. You know, sometimes you're quite scary, Vlad nervously replied. Hey! Nemuri replied, clearly annoyed, and several of us started laughing. This is one of the few times I enjoy someone's company. Every year, we have the same practice. We take the first-year students to a place in our school known as the Unforeseen Simulation Joint or simply USJ. We use this place to test the physical and mental abilities of each student, seeing how they'd perform in various critical situations, from floods to fires. That's why we're having this meeting, to decide who will go. In this case, only my class, 1A, will attend. I hope you don't kill them, Cementos joked, causing everyone to laugh quietly. At least I won't vomit while giving a speech, I added with a chuckle. We all burst into laughter at that amusing memory. Enough, everyone. Vlad, who had hidden under the table, said to make us stop. Leaving the laughter aside, we can consider this meeting concluded, I declared. Vlad approached me, asking, Shota, won't you go with Nezu? As he got in front of me, Nemuri pushed him aside, exclaiming, Move, I have something to say. Vlad ended up on the floor, saying, Hey! Show some courtesy at least. Another time, I said, laughing, as she dragged me out of the room. The last thing we heard before closing the door was, Kayama. Do you know you just got yourself in trouble? I asked when we stopped in a quiet hallway. Yes, but well, she replied nonchalantly, surprising me with her calmness. Well, can I know why you dragged me here? I inquired, raising an eyebrow. It wasn't the first time she had done this. She started looking around. How did it go with the guy I introduced you to? She asked in a whisper. You mean the guy whose wrist I broke? I saw her collapse to the floor, her spirit seemingly leaving her. This is the third time you've done this, I said while she remained on the ground. He brought it on himself, I responded while eating a coffee-flavored candy. What? It's not my fault. The idiot thought he could grab my legs as if they were his. You should stop introducing me to the idiots you know, I suggested as she got up. Never. I won't let you stay single, she stated firmly. Annoyed, I replied, Yeah, whatever you say. You need to love, even if it's just once, she told me. I don't need it, love is just a waste of time, I retorted. No thanks, I added as I walked away. Plus. As I walked through the hallways toward my destination, I knew today would be a very challenging day. Tick-tock, tick-tock. Drops fell to the ground. At first, they were numerous, but as minutes passed, they dwindled. The rain had stopped a few minutes ago, it was still nighttime. Precisely 11:32 p.m. In an alley, the sound of a person's breathing could be heard. Darkness reigned in that place, but as if by divine intervention, without warning, the skies cleared, and the moonlight illuminated the area, revealing who that person was. A boy lay in a puddle of water, part of his body was in the puddle, with only his legs and about 75% of his head above water. His breathing was ragged, his hands trembled in the cold alley, his green hair was wet for obvious reasons, and faint moans escaped from his mouth. It seemed as if he was in a dreamlike limbo. Inside Izuku's mind. Everything was dark as a moonless night, where no one could see anything, and even the sound of your own breath felt like a torment. Where am I? The young man opened his eyes inside this strange dream. He tried to stand up, but when he placed his hands on the ground for support, he felt a familiar sensation. Grass. Grass, he said when he started to touch the ground, and indeed, it was grass, slightly damp. My head, he mumbled, I can't see anything, it's all dark, he exclaimed. He began to walk around, searching for an exit or some light. The moist grass was refreshing, and the scent it emitted was pleasant to the green-haired boy. I know there's grass beneath my feet, but I can't see it. Am I in a meadow? He pondered his situation. A long time passed, and he found nothing, just more wet grass and nothing else. Damn, I've been walking for a while, and I can't find a possible way out. Fear was taking over him, and 1,000 questions crossed his mind. Until, by some divine grace, a light appeared, illuminating a massive tree. Wow, he exclaimed, marveling at the incredible sight. I'll get closer, he said as he walked slowly toward the tree. The only sound at that moment was the sound of his footsteps and the grass being crushed. It's even more beautiful up close, he said when he finally reached the tree. It was huge, imposing from Izuku's perspective. It was then that he noticed, on the ground under the tree where there was still light, several red threads. Thread? He knelt down to examine them more closely and realized that he had a fragment of a red thread in his left hand. Since when did I / since you woke up, he was about to finish his question when a voice responded. It was a sweet, calm voice that seemed to belong to a male. Nice to meet you, Izuku Midoriya. A shadow appeared, despite the presence of light. Izuku was trembling. How could he not? It was an enormous shadow. Who / I'm a friend, don't worry, and don't be afraid of me, the strange shadow answered. It's not the right time for a comfortable chat. I think you need to wake up, the shadow revealed to Izuku. Am I dreaming? Izuku asked, relieved. Yes, and now it's time to wake up. It was then that the shadow placed its hand on Izuku's hair and whispered, we'll see each other more often. Izuku. He didn't have time to bid farewell to the shadow because he fell into an endless abyss. Ah! He screamed as he fell with no apparent end. Outside of Izuku's mind. Ah! He woke up, screaming in fear. This was a dream, he said while breathing heavily. Where is this place? He looked around for clues about where he was. Oh no, he exclaimed as a sudden headache struck. I know why I'm here, I came to see a cat, and suddenly, I passed out, he muttered. My phone. He checked his pocket, and luckily, it was still there. What time is it? He gasped when he saw it was 1 a.m. Oh no, he said, checking the call history, 72 missed calls from his mother and 2 from his father. I guess I won't be going home. But I have to go, he said in fear as he got up from the ground and started to walk. Meow. Limping behind him was the same cat he had seen before he fainted. I almost forgot about you, my friend. Come on, let's go home, he said as he picked up the cat and walked through the dark streets of Musafatchu. Narration by Izuku. Here I am, sitting in my living room, being hugged by my mom, who had been crying since I walked in the door, and scolded by my dad. And let it be the last time, he concluded the conversation, clearly annoyed. All right, I said dejectedly. Okay, and regarding the cat, we'll take care of it when you wake up later, my dad said as he stared intently at the cat, their gazes locked, and I was just a spectator. All right. So let's go to bed, and you should change your clothes, he said, pointing at me. Well, it wasn't so bad after all. UA Academy, Japan. 10:23 a.m. Deku-kun, are you ready for our trip? Uraka-san asked me. Earlier in the morning, Ida told us that we'd have a group outing. Yeah, I replied with a yawn, I was still tired from yesterday. I can tell you're tired, Midoriya-kun, Kaminari said, placing his hand on my shoulder. I couldn't sleep at all last night, I replied dully. All right, classmates. Aizawa-sensei says to go to the bus. Let's go, let's go. Ida was as enthusiastic as ever. A chill ran down my spine. Why do I feel like something bad is about to happen? Narrator. UA, Japan. Well, I hope none of you brats cause me any trouble during the trip, said the hero in charge of the class. Yes, Professor, some of the students replied enthusiastically. Why? Well, today was a day for a field trip. After a long and tiring week for some, as they were still getting used to their new way of life. Sure, they are students, so they should already be accustomed, but from now on, they are students and aspiring heroes, the most coveted career/profession in the world. Deku-kun, it's a shame you can't wear your hero costume, a brown-haired girl with cute round cheeks spoke to our protagonist. Well, it's still being repaired, the green-haired boy barely spoke, as he was nervous due to the girl's proximity. Plus, the girl's costume was very form-fitting, accentuating her figure. Midoriya, you lucky bastard, a fellow student whispered, with blood coming out of his eyes, which wasn't very healthy, to be honest. Ashido-san, can you lend me some acid? A girl with earjacks asked, appearing somewhat annoyed. Huh? All right, give me a container to pour it into, the pink girl accepted the request. Momo, can you give me a container? The girl asked her friend. Yes, I'll give you a pre-made one right now, the kind vice president took a small container out of her pocket. Thank you, Yamomo, she said to her friend, probably her best friend. After a few seconds, they filled the container with acid. What for? I couldn't say. Midoriya, the teacher's annoyed voice caught the attention of the young green-haired boy and those around him. You better not fracture your bones, got it? I've been getting a lot of notifications that you've been hurting yourself due to improper use of your quirk. Annoyed, she responded. Her whole week had been filled with paperwork and work, thanks to her student. Why yes, sensei, he replied nervously. All right, I'll be keeping an eye on you, brat, she said before walking to the bus. It's time to leave, get on already, she entered the bus despondently. Have you all heard the teacher? Ida loudly called the rest of the class to get on the bus. Too bad for you, Midobro, Kirishima put his arm around the aforementioned boy's neck. But don't worry, I don't think you'll need to use your quirk today. Kirishima tried to ease Izuku's nerves. Thank you, he stammered. Get on already. Bakugo's annoyed voice echoed through the place. On the way. On the bus, 15 minutes. So noisy, Aizawa was annoyed. The young aspiring heroes were too loud, and they didn't seem to shut up. It was quite bothersome as it prevented her from getting any rest on the bus. On the contrary, Izuku was enjoying a different experience. I wanna rock and roll all night and party every day was what you could hear through the headphones of the young aspiring hero. What? Doesn't everyone like Kiss? As the young man played the melody, he rested his head against the window, ignoring everything around him. That was the idea. Get up, you damn Deku. Ah. It was a powerful shout that pulled him away from his perfect world and threw him to the floor. It seemed as if he could have shattered the glass. Bakugo, shut up. The one shouting this time was the teacher, and she was annoyed. Very annoyed. If you don't shut up, I'll throw you out of the moving vehicle, she concluded angrily. Meanwhile, Izuku was still dazed by that shout and nervous about what had happened in a matter of seconds. Midoriya-kun, are you okay? Koda whispered nervously as he extended his hand to help the freckled boy. Why yes, thank you, Koda, he replied nervously in the face of the teacher's threatening aura. It's better if we keep quiet, Yaoyorozu whispered while nodding her head to those around her. An awkward silence fell on the bus, no one dared to utter a single word. Bakugo was quiet, but there was a clear anger about him. Silence. The silence was so profound that you could hear the bus driver breathing. Prepare yourself, you damn spawn of a bitch, because Fridays in the jungle are going to be insane. Suddenly, an audio was played throughout the bus. PFFFFFFFFFF. Others covered their mouths to avoid laughing. Come on, Mineta, take it off. I can't. Mineta and Denki whispered not so discreetly. Mineta. Kaminari. A female voice was heard from behind them, a sinister, otherworldly voice. The two young men turned around to see that they had indeed messed up. Yes, sensei? They barely managed to say, seeing their imminent death. Knuckles were Aizawa's bell announcing the end of souls. We've arrived. A guardian angel in the form of the driver came to the rescue, and indeed, they had already arrived. What? So fast? The teacher said, she usually took a little longer to get there. Yes, we changed vehicles, this is a new version of the one we had before, the driver said while chewing gum. Alright, get off the bus already, you brats, she said as she picked up her bandages from her seat and exited the bus. Mineta-kun, Kaminari-kun, are you okay? Ochako asked the duo. We saw heaven. We saw hell, they said while hugging each other and crying out of fear. Hey! Why hell for me? Mineta complained. You have more sins than I do, Kaminari responded with humor. Thank you, Mr. Driver, they shouted with gratitude. While the driver raised his fist in a sign of victory. 30 minutes later. USJ entrance. A truly impressive sight, to be honest. All the students were amazed by the magnificent view. A massive dome and inside it, various disaster scenarios. Welcome to the glorious unforeseen simulation joint. Welcome to the USJ. A voice with feminine tones announced, exciting everyone. 13, Uraka exclaimed in excitement when she saw the rescue hero. As excited as ever, Aizawa said, bored, while crossing her arms. You eraser, too, 13 replied cheerfully. Yes, whatever, Aizawa replied dismissively. Amidst the laughter, questions, and explanations, 13 was able to detail what this place was, what they would do, how it would work, and the points to evaluate. Alright, it's time for you all to demonstrate your courage, it's time to show if you're fit to be heroes for this kind of job, 13 was about to finish her speech. Who stays to help the civilians while the heroes are fighting? This is the time when we have to prioritize the lives of every person, no matter the risk we face. We're heroes. What do heroes do? 13 asked with excitement. We save lives. The students shouted. That's right, 13 concluded, inspiring each student there, some more than others. Well. Shoto was about to take the floor. Is it already starting? Some of the students asked. That's when the heroine went on alert, alerting the students with her vigilance. What's happening, sensei? Aoyama asked, frightened. I don't know, but this isn't part of our plan, Aizawa replied warily. Fake heroes. Mere toys pretending to be something they're not. The cancer of society. A raspy voice came from the fog. And it's time to cut it out. The voice exclaimed, and hands emerged from the mist. 13. Cover the students, don't let anyone separate. Aizawa ordered, and 13 and the students obeyed. And there he was, a man with hands covering his body emerged from the portal. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. The strange man laughed uncontrollably, and not just him, but hordes of villains appeared. But that wasn't the biggest problem. The students were scared. Aizawa was on the lookout for any movement. They didn't have All Might with them at the moment. 13 had told her that his time had passed, and he needed to rest. I can handle them, and 13 will take care of the students. I'll be in the fight, the hero thought. She was experienced, hard to beat, and an expert with her quirk. What's that thing? Mineta asked, scared and desperately seeking an answer. Oh no, that person seems like they could kill us just by looking at us. Aizawa analyzed the situation they were in. This shouldn't be happening. It was supposed to be a simple field trip, and now she had to risk her life to save her students. Oh, the delicious scent of fear, I can feel it, I feel how fear imprisons them. That hand guy spoke ecstatically to his allies. Misty, is there anyone else left to come in? Then the mist transformed into a humanoid shape, dressed in a suit with metal plates where a neck should be. Yes, and I'd appreciate it if you stopped calling me Misty, the mist responded annoyed, apparently to its boss. The students and teachers watched attentively as the events unfolded below them. They couldn't hear, but they could see everything, thanks to their position at the entrance of the USJ. What should we do, Sensei? Ida asked his teacher. As the class representative, he had to remain firm and take the lead even in this situation. You won't do anything, I'll handle them, she responded firmly, leaving the students puzzled. Was she really going to face more than 30 or 40 villains alone in a fight? We won't just stay here as civilians. We'll take down some of them. Kachan was furious, he felt as if they were subtly telling him, step aside, you'll be in the way. I'm not asking you. You stay here with 13, damn it. Shota raised his voice, showing that he was in charge. This is getting boring. I think we should start now, that hand guy said. Are you sure, Tomura? Don't you think we should wait for All Might? The mist questioned Tomura. Maybe. But if we hurt his students, he might come faster. Tomura made his final decision. All you'll do is make the symbol of peace leave the peace and give you a good symbol. Tomura glared angrily at the mist, and the mist let out a small laugh. It was then that Tomura shifted his gaze to the students at the top of the stairs and asked, are you ready? One of the villains there thought with amusement, since when does he use that Spanish accent? Sive. They all yelled. Okay. He. His gaze was fixed on the aspiring heroes, but he noticed a beautiful woman with black hair and a hero uniform that made her look elegantly strong. Oh, look at this gorgeous woman. Beneath the mask that covered his face, he licked his lips. Damn, they seem like they're about to start moving. 13, protect the kids, I'm going, Aizawa put on his yellow goggles. Sensei, don't go alone, you can't handle so many villains, and your quirk isn't meant for large battles like this. Izuku was worried about his teacher, so he tried to persuade her. However, she cut him off mid-sentence. Heroes don't have just one skill, kid. That feeling was like being in a tank, knowing that nothing could hurt you. That was the feeling Aizawa's words gave. Sensei. The first step was heard as she started descending the stairs without hurry. Her walk was so elegant and refined that one would think they were seeing a queen descend the stairs of her palace. Kill them all. Tomura's scream echoed throughout the place, terrifying the students there and marking the beginning of this encounter. Let's go. The villain's battle cry echoed through the USJ's walls. The villains started running fiercely towards the 1A students. Okay, Era. You're doing this for your students. It was the whisper Aizawa told herself before running towards the villains. It's getting late, have you seen my mates? Ma, tell me when the boys get here. Halfway through her journey, Eraser leapt and swung on the lamp posts lining the sides of the stairs. Everyone watched in amazement as she seemed to be born to be in the air, leaving everyone, including the villains and Tomura, spellbound. It's 7 o'clock, and I want to rock. Want to get a belly full of beer. Stop staring at her, attack her. One of the villains shouted to rally the others, but seeing that no one paid attention to him, he ran towards her, yelling furiously, come down if you're so brave. If you want me to come down so badly, she whispered with a tiny smile and swung herself with her bandages, rising into the air like a phoenix rising from the ashes. She was simply marvelous. My old man's drunker than a barrel full of monkeys, and my old lady, she don't care. Wow, everyone watched as Aizawa seemed to fly through the air. A certain green-haired boy had only one thought about her: beautiful. She then plummeted at great speed towards the ground, mercilessly hitting a villain. The sound of multiple broken bones echoed, and as if that wasn't enough, she used him as a board to slide down the stairs. "Oh, don't give us none of your aggravation. We had it with your discipline. 'Cause Saturday night's all right for fightin'. Get a little action in." Aizawa used a series of kicks on two villains without hesitation and made a cut on the bare chest of one with her knife, while using her bandage to drag another who had been unconscious for a few seconds. Saturday, she was enjoying the battle. "I may use a little muscle to get what I need, I may sink a little drink and shout out, 'She's with me.'" The fight remained a constant humiliation for the villains, with 21 of them defeated within minutes by a single hero. "Who the hell are you?" a villain yelled angrily before being struck with a direct punch to the neck. "The mother of the chicks," Shota replied before dropping a villain he was holding in his other hand. "I'm a juvenile product of the working class whose best friend floats in the bottom of a glass." A villain who was trying to escape from her was caught by her bandages, pulled towards her, and with a terrifying smile, she lifted him up and hammered him down onto other villains. Saturday, Shota was upset, knowing that many of these men probably came from poor neighborhoods, where hunger was rampant, and they would do anything for a little money. "I hope you're ready to," Aizawa said as she got into a fighting stance. "Oh no, I won't fight you, I won't have that honor for now, but he will." She pointed to the monster next to her. "Meet Nomu, he's powerful enough to defeat All Might. I hope you enjoy it." After introducing their ally, he took a step forward, and suddenly, the whole place shook. It was stronger this time. This was my bad omen in the morning. Shota knew his opponent wasn't normal, and this time, she was in real danger. A loud crash echoed through the facility. The giant creature made a powerful leap into the sky and, in an instant, landed right where the heroine was, narrowly evading her. "What the heck?" She was clearly surprised and somewhat stunned in her thoughts. A hint of fear started to creep in as she saw only a massive crater left in that spot. Grr! The monster's roar brought her back to reality, as the creature was in front of her, about to strike. She quickly ducked to avoid the attack, and a shockwave destroyed some trees behind her. "It's fast and strong. This will be more challenging than I thought," she analyzed in her thoughts. She had defeated all the villains she could see, at least that's what she believed, and now only this creature remained, which was in a league of its own. Blows were exchanged, and all she could do for the moment was wait, knowing that at least one of her students would come to reinforce her. "You're not getting away." Just as she predicted, as she turned to look towards the entrance, she noticed a large amount of smoke left behind by the fastest student in her class, accompanied by a shadow attacked by 13 and supported by 4 other students. "Hold on a moment. 4 students? Hey! Where the heck are the rest?" She was visibly concerned as she noticed that most of her students were missing. This almost cost her life. Grrrrrrrrr. Another roar snapped her out of her thoughts, and all she could see was a fist inches from her face before she rolled to the right. "Darn," she whispered to herself. How did an aspirant escape? She could hear the voice of the man reprimanding the mist about one of her students. She couldn't see them because she was occupied trying to escape her current situation. Just hold on a little longer, she encouraged herself to keep distracting the creature that had her on the brink of almost certain death. No matter how hard she tried to use her quirk on it, she couldn't affect anything. It seemed that this being had more than one quirk. Even if she took away its strength, it still had incredible speed and endurance. It was completely out of the ordinary, not normal, it was more like an experiment. A weapon. She came to the correct conclusion when she noticed that the one called Shigaraki was smiling at her discovery. "You're truly remarkable. Not only did you survive against Nomu for quite some time, but you also noticed that he's not a human being," he said in his raspy, exhausted voice. "He's Nomu, a killing machine." As he mentioned this, he stopped all attacks and remained still in the same spot. Even if you remove one of his quirks, he still has more. Through a lengthy process of experimentation, beings with the ability to carry more than one quirk were created, he explained as he approached Nomu and patted its back.